With new discoveries made in fitness science every single day, our opinions are constantly changing along with it. And that's exactly why I made changes to one of my long-held training recommendations that can have a huge impact on your gains. Let's talk about it. One thing I've always strived for is to be as objective as possible so that I can provide you beautiful people with solid health and fitness content. But if I'm being truly honest, then just like booty toots during a deadlift, my biases can unexpectedly sneak up on me. And that's what happened to one fairly major factor about training. Now, centuries ago when I was in high school, I firmly believed training to failure was the best thing you can do for your gains. Eventually, when I learned how to read, I found out that training to failure was not exactly necessary. Around this time, there was also emerging evidence that strongly suggests focusing primarily on training volume above anything else is best. In the past couple of years, though, training to failure started to make some noise again, with research like this 2024 study suggesting that training to failure has more utility than we believe. Now, the research as a whole does show training to failure can be useful, but ultimately proposes that training close to failure is likely just as effective. Now, on the surface, it might look like I actually achieved my goal of being objective, cause my recommendation kinda has always been to indeed focus on training volume and also training close to failure. But recently, after learning not only how to read, but also reading comprehension, I ultimately came to the conclusion that this recommendation needs to be changed. The fact is, I do believe that over the years, I developed some level of bias towards training volume, and I spent way more time talking about it than any other training factor. But with all the new research on failure, I've been switching things up and explaining more about what is and how to train close to failure. Still, I didn't decide to change my recommendation until I started asking myself one question. Do people truly know how training to failure feels like? According to the research, the answer seems to be no, even for people that are considered more advanced lifters. But if we are to genuinely, objectively go by the science, we need to make sure that we genuinely train close to failure. And there's no better way to practice training close to failure than to train all the way to failure itself. With this in mind, my recommendation these days has been updated to still focus on training volume and training close to failure, but also to train all the way to failure from time to time. That's going to give you a better idea of how to truly train close to failure and know exactly when to stop your sets. And it's good to continue practicing full failure training even when you're more experienced, since what it feels like today can be very different to what it feels like in the future. Usually once a week is a good place to start, and then dial it back as you get better at it. And finally, make sure you're not forcing your reps beyond the point of your technique breaking down. As the old adage goes, there's no sexier way to fail than to safely fail. If you want to know more about training close to failure, I have plenty of other videos covering it. Check them out in the description. But there you have it, the one big training tip I learned this year. Well, it's more so learning to really evaluate my own information to make sure that I genuinely give you guys the best information I possibly can. That's all that matters to me, and I hope I can continue doing that for you for many more years to come. And if you ever think that my sneaky little bias is popping up again, please make sure to let me know. Other than that, if you enjoyed this video, then please give it an objective thumbs up and share it with your failure-loving friends. Subscribe for more and let me know what you think in the comments. As always, thank you for watching, and don't forget to get your protein.